Sarah, thank you for joining us today, for allowing us to interview you. Can you tell us about yourself? Who are you? What do you do? That kind of stuff.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a real privilege to have a bit of a chat with you. My name's Sarah, obviously. I work for the Hope Centre based in St Helens. We're a local charity connected to St Helens Christian Life Centre. I work at Hope House, which is our day centre which supports people who are homeless and at risk of homelessness. I have been a Christian probably for about the last, I would say, maybe about 30 years. And in that time, I've just really seen God's faithfulness, his love in every step of the way of my life. And, you know, he's the reason I'm here.
So that's amazing. So how did you personally get involved with the project at the Hope Centre?
I started volunteering with the Hope Centre actually because I've known Angela, our project director, since I was very little. And then my mum started to work for the charity. And so when I was about 16, I had a gap year and did some volunteering. Loved it. And then when I was at university, really needed a summer job. Didn't really want to go back to serving cafes as much as I loved doing that. And they said that they had enough opening for an admin assistant. Came to do holiday work, and kind of the rest is history. I've been here ever since.
Yeah, great. So often that happens, right, where you think it's going to be just for a short season and it ends up completely guiding and directing the rest of your life. Amazing.
When I left uni, I wanted to be a librarian, and I've ended up managing a centre full of people, so it's probably a lot more of an interesting job, if I'm honest. No offense to any librarians.
So you've just said about managing a centre of people. Just in case people don't know about what you're doing, what is it that your organisation do?
Yeah, so I'll probably focus on my particular project because there's about 5 other projects that the Hope Centre is involved with. But here at Hope House, like I said before, we support people who are homeless, who are experiencing homelessness in whatever form that might be. So it might be that they're rough sleeping. It could be that their accommodation isn't secure or stable. They might be staying with friends and family as long as that can last. And then we also support people who are at risk of homelessness. So they might have a tenancy of their own, but there's usually some sort of issue that might possibly put that tenancy at risk. I was going to say on a normal day, because nothing's been normal for a while, has it? We would provide breakfast, 2 days a week we provide lunch, and then we provide like an advice and advocacy service. So obviously, if you haven't got your own address, you need a correspondence address to access things like benefits, your local GP, things like that. Access to the internet's really important these days. Everything's online. Phone, people don't always have a phone, so we open the phone up. And even simple things, just to like finish, filling in application forms, finishing things off with people, just checking them, and just chatting and supporting people along their journeys to overcome homelessness, to support them day to day with their mental health, dealing with debt. Often people come to us and there's some sort of alcohol or drug issue going on in their life. So we do a lot of signposting. We work with a lot of organisations in town, but we just try and walk with people each day.
It's amazing what you guys are doing. And that was like a really big picture snapshot. So thank you for that. I'm just wondering, is there a particular story that you could share that might help people to see on a sort of a micro scale, like what you're up to that makes a difference in our community?
Yeah, I suppose one sort of service user kind of sticks out. We've worked with him probably for about the last 3 to 4 years. He first came to us because he was rough sleeping. We managed to support him to go into a hostel, and the hostel were absolutely brilliant with him. He continued to sort of pop in while he was in the hostel because we get a lot of support there, so we kind of back off a little bit. So we keep coming in for a cup of tea, checking on, just to say hi, making sure we're keeping his social circle a bit wider. and just a bit of support really, because he does struggle with his mental health. He then from the hostel went into his own place, and unfortunately had alcohol issues. His mental health went downhill, and literally at some points he's just sort of come in every single day just to come out and speak to somebody. We helped him, get in touch with organisations like Mind to widen his social circle. One of our support workers has been with him to benefit appointments. We've got him in touch with Citizens Advice to try and help with the debt side of things that he was struggling with. And yeah, I've got a little quote from him, because we always try and get feedback from people just to make sure that we're doing the right job that we should be doing. And when we one of the questions we ask is, if we'd not been there to help, what do you think would have happened in your situation? And he just said, I would have went back to a mental hospital if I was lucky. So most of the time, it really is about just walking the journey with somebody. We can do all the practical stuff, but sometimes just having somebody on the other end of a phone or the other end of a walk, just to sort of sit and have that conversation with, and just clear out the direction that you want to go in. Absolutely.
Yeah, so true. You touched on it a minute ago about how, days aren't normal at the moment anyway. Just wondering, how's life at the moment looking different for you guys, and how's this COVID-19 impacted the organisation, either positively or negatively at the moment?
Well, I suppose on a positive note, the partnership working has always been really strong in St Helens, but I feel like it's really highlighted throughout the COVID crisis. Everybody that we know has come together, from people, just individuals in the local community. We've had so many offers of volunteering, delivery services, and this is a time when you would imagine that people would retreat, but we've had so much support, which is amazing. Other organisations have been fantastic. Our centre itself looks very different at the moment. Normally we would have people in and out all day, but obviously we can't do that at the moment. So we've been serving food at the door when needs be. But I mean, in one sense, it's worked hopefully well for some of our rough sleepers, in that they have been placed in temporary accommodation, which is absolutely fantastic. It's what we want for them. We don't want anybody sleeping rough. So working with other organisations in the town, we've been providing hot food and a cold packed tea for them 4 days a week. Teardrops is the other organisation doing the other 3 days. But also we then provide a hamper every week for those who are at risk. So if they're in their own tenancy, they get to come down, we get to check on them, speak to them, make sure that they're doing okay, and then try and provide like a non-perishable food hamper just to keep them going, and give them a few basics to get through to the next week. We also provide a brew, which I think is the reason some of them actually come down. It's just for a good cup of tea or coffee. But yeah, just to try and maintain that contact. For anybody who has needed to access the internet, or use the telephone, or if they've not got a shower, we're allowing people to come in just one at a time, just to maintain that social distance and make sure that it's easy for them to access. They get done what they need to do, but we're not putting them at risk.
Wonderful. So maybe people watching this today are wondering how they might be able to support Hope House. In what ways could people get involved?
Well, we're welcoming everybody to get involved. At the minute, we haven't got that many volunteering opportunities physically, just because we're trying to limit the amount of people in the building. But if people can follow us on our social media via Twitter, which we're at Hope St Helens, or if they search for Hope Centre St Helens on Facebook, anything that we need donations wise gets posted on there. Food donations are always welcome for Hope House. We've kind of emptied our cupboards a little bit, but we're still seeing God's provision. It still comes in every week. We've seen funding come through, which is amazing. So food, finance is always welcome. There's a flexibility. Some don't always have to cope with things. Prayer is really welcome, especially for like our local authority and the people in statutory organisations who are having to make decisions now that we're coming out of lockdown. What do people, what do they offer the rough sleepers who are in the temporary accommodation. We don't want to see them back on the street. So wisdom on how we achieve that would be great. Yeah, and prayer's really important, especially in guiding us in how we then start to open up the centre after now we're starting to see the lockdown ease, and how we do that sensibly with God's wisdom.
Absolutely. I think that's this sort of the next phase, isn't it, of what life looks like, is as much of a challenge for organisations as this season has been.
Yeah, we just got used to the lockdown and now we're changing again.
Absolutely. So UNITED2020 is organised by the churches of St Helens, and therefore there's going to be a good number of local Christians watching this. So maybe a bit risky of a question, but is there anything you would want to say to the church in our town? And then also, is there anything that they could be praying for?
Huge thank you would be first on the list, to be honest. I've worked here for quite a number of years now, and the church in St Helens is just absolutely astounding in its generosity, in its love, and its willingness to show Jesus' care for people. You know, it really just gives me goosebumps every time I think about it and how supportive they've been. So thank you. But also, you know, we need you. Organisations like ourselves, the other projects that you support, we don't go away, unfortunately. Our director Angela always says that Jesus said the poor will always be with you, not because we're not helping people to move on, but unfortunately there's usually somebody else who just needs that support as well. So we're really just blessed by people in St Helens. Like I said before, wisdom is a real issue. Funding for us is always an issue. We rely on God's generosity and God's blessing to, you know, give our funders the sort of nudge to keep us going. So, you know, prayer for that is always welcome, and prayer for the rough sleepers, the people that we support, those at risk. It's a scary time for everyone, but they don't always, you know, they haven't always got a TV, for example, so they're not always able to keep up with the news. So they don't always understand what's going on, and it's just peace for them that, you know, they don't have to be afraid, that, you know, we do pray for them. We do ask God's protection over them, that, you know, that they will stay safe. And just wisdom's the big one, I think, at the minute. I think for everybody. But yeah, God's wisdom and God's plan for things and what's happening next.
Sure. I mean, I feel like I'm praying at the moment personally, Lord, just give me your wisdom, more discernment. Yeah, so I'm with you on that prayer. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing with us today about who you are and who you've been up to. Just to be finished, I'd love just to pray for you and for all the things that you were just mentioning. So, yeah, Father God, I thank you that we've had this moment, that you've brought to mind things that we need to be praying for in our community. We thank you for the ministry of the Hope Centre, for Hope House and that project there. Lord, for all their volunteers and their staff, we pray that you continue to protect them and sustain them, and that they know your blessing in this time. Lord, for Sarah, as she heads up that project, we do pray for wisdom. We thank you that she has a heart for you. And so, Father, would you bless her, I pray. And Lord, for these rough sleepers that they work with, and Lord, with these relationships they have there in this time, would they continue to grow even in the isolation that there is? Lord, I thank you that they are a beacon of hope in this environment and in this moment and in our town. Lord, bless them, we pray, in your mighty name. Amen.
Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome. God bless you.
God bless. See you soon.